Okay, so let's finish where we started. So if we were to multiply these together, so that's square roots of 6 over 2 plus square roots of 2 over a 2. Oops, I can't multiply, but that should be a 4 and a 4. Okay, so then we'll have square roots of 6 plus square roots of 2 all over a 4. So if I put that in my calculator, do I get that same decimal like as I got up at the top? So square roots of 6 plus square roots of 2, and then all that, oops, we'll just divided by 4, and you get 0.96. So 0.9659. So what do you notice? So sine of 7 pi over 12 is equal to sine of pi over 3 plus pi over 4, which is also equal to sine of pi over 3 times cosine of pi over 4 plus sine of pi over 3 times cosine, sine of pi over 4, I'm sorry. Sine of pi over 4 times cosine of pi over 3. So that means that I can rewrite an angle to 7 pi over 12, which is not on the unit circle, right? So it's not on the unit circle. All right, so this is our introduction to the sum and difference formulas. So we can expand sine by adding two angles together. So I took something that I didn't know, so 7 pi over 12, that I do not know in the unit circle, but I made it two angles that added together. So pi over 3 plus pi over 4, if I were to add those two values together, it would give me 7 pi over 12. And then I can expand that by saying sine of pi over 3 and times cosine of pi over 4 plus sine of pi over 4 times cosine of pi over 3 is going to be the same thing as sine of 7 pi over 12. Okay? Alright, so those are your sum and difference formulas. Cofunctions. So cofunctions. So sine is a cofunction with cosine. So cosine of 90 minus theta. Or of course you can say cosine of pi over 2 minus theta is the same thing as sine of theta. And opposites, right? So you can rewrite that as cosine of theta is going to be equal to sine of 90 minus theta. So secant and cosecant are cofunctions of each other. And tangent and cotangent are cofunctions of each other. Okay. All right. Our sum and difference formulas. So we've got cosine of alpha plus beta. These will be given to you on your test if we use them on our test. So we're really just understanding that if we can't evaluate some given angle, we can separate it as two sums or two differences of angles. So alpha and beta represent angles that are on the unit circle. So alpha and beta represent unit circle measures. Okay. So take a second and try to answer a few of these for me. So pause the video and try to answer these. Okay, so find the cofunction with the same value as the given expression, tangent of 62 degrees. So tangent of 62 degrees is going to be the same thing as cotangent of 90 degrees minus 62 degrees. So it's going to be the same thing as cotangent of what, 28 degrees? Okay. So cotangent, so theta is some acute angle, so cotangent of theta is going to be the same thing as tangent of pi over 2 minus theta. So those two things are going to be equal. So that means that both of those two things equal a 1/4. Okay. Alright, so let's look at number 3. So rewrite each angle as a sum or difference of two angles from the unit circle. So what two values could give me 15 degrees from the unit circle? And it doesn't, like, we can use any angle, but I always try to use something from the first quadrant, or like B part, you're not going to be able to use the first quadrant, but 45 degrees. So there's nothing that I can add together to give me 15 degrees from the unit circle. Okay. But I could, say 45 minus 30. So 45 minus 30 gives me 15 degrees. Yeah. So cosine of 15 degrees is the same thing as me saying cosine of 45 degrees minus 30 degrees. Okay. Now, I can expand this. So remember, I can't say this right here. I can't just separate it, right? Those aren't the same. It's not the same. But I am going to separate this. So it's cosine of 45 minus 30 degrees. So I'm going to use this one. So I'm going to say cosine of 45 degrees times cosine of 30 degrees. And then I'm going to add, and it's going to be sine of 45 degrees times sine of 30 degrees. Cosine of 45 degrees is square roots of 3. Is square roots of 2 over 2. Square roots of 30 is square roots of 3 over 2. Sine of 45 is square roots of 2 over 2. And sine of 30 is your y value there, which is a 1/2. So if I simplify that, I'll get square roots of 2 times square roots of 3, which is the square roots of 6. 2 times 2, which is a 4. Square roots of 2 times 1 is a square roots of 2. 2 times 2, which is a 4. And then that can simplify to just square roots of 6 plus square roots of 2. All of that over 4. And that's as far as we can go with that. And we're done. So now y'all take a second and do B part. So sine of 165. Alright, so I'm going to break 165 up into two values, two angle measurements from the unit circle, which I'm going to say 120 plus 45, because 120 is in the second quadrant and 45 is in the first quadrant there. So I'm now going to say sine of 120 degrees plus 45 degrees. So sine, so I'm going to use the plus, the sum here. So I'm going to say sine of angle A, which is 120. So sine of 120 times cosine of angle B, which is 45. And then plus cosine of 120 times sine of 45. Alright, sine of 120 is square roots of 3 over a 2. Cosine of 45 is square roots of 2 over a 2. Cosine of 120 is a negative 1/2. Sine of 45 is a square roots of 2 over 2. So this is going to end up being square roots of 6 over 4 minus square roots of 2 over 4. Okay. All right. Let's look at number 4 here. So number 4, write it as one sign. So 40 degrees does not lie on the unit circle. 20 degrees does not lie on the unit circle. So we've got cosine, cosine together, and I've got sine and sine together. So which one of these has cosine, cosine together? Here we go. So it's going to be either a sum or difference of cosine. So now I've got to figure out what is separating them. I have a minus sign separating them. So I've got a minus sign separating them, so I can combine them by addition. So I'm going to put them back together. So that means that this is going to be the same thing as cosine of 40 degrees plus 20 degrees. So 40 plus 20 is a 60. So what is cosine of 60 degrees? So cosine of 60 degrees is a 1/2. Okay. So sine and cosine here are together. So sine and cosine, so this is going to be a sum or difference of sine. Okay, there's an addition sign here, so remember sine does keep the same. So it's going to just be the sum of the two angles. Okay. So we're going to have sine of 7 pi over 12 plus pi over 4. Alright, so if I add these together, so this turns into a 3 pi over 12, so 3 pi over 12, yeah? And then 3 plus your 7. So to combine these, let's just do this real quick. Just make a separate step. 3 pi over 12. So this will be what? Sine of 10 pi over 12. And 10 pi over 12 cannot simplify, so that is going to be sine of 2 goes into both of those, so that's what, 5 pi over 6. 5 pi over 6 is definitely on the unit circle. So sine of 5 pi over 6, so that's in the second quadrant, so that's going to be a positive 1/2. Okay. Alright, so that's your sum and difference of your angles. Let me know if you have any questions.